Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thanks everyone for being here today. Any additions to the agenda that you have in front of you? Okay, assuming that's a no. Approval of the previous meeting minutes. I know those were sent out within the last week. Thank you, sir. Do I get a second? Thank you. Okay, any comments from the board? Hi. Okay. All right. With that, I'll turn it over to Tom. Tom, you have any comments? No comments? All right, with that, we'll go over to Rick.
I can pontificate for a while if you'd like me to.
So I just wanted to kind of outline something that's been brought to our attention lately about the dams. We are currently in the process of re-permitting. By the time this goes through, we'll be re-permitting all the dams, but I think technically Loch Lomond is still under permit. We became aware of a rating system that made its way to kind of a national registry about dams. And the rating was listed as poor for Loch Lomond and for Lake Ann. So we dived into that a little bit deeper. The regulatory agency does not have a current emergency action plan on file, which we do have a current one. They just don't have it on file. So for Lake Ann, when we get that submitted to them, that will lift us above the poor category to fair. So the categories go satisfactory, fair, poor. There isn't, and then below that there's unsatisfactory. So there's no good. So it's just the way the scale runs. So poor can kind of cause alarm, but as soon as they get that emergency action plan, will be updated to fair on that one, on Loch Lomond. And so as far as Loch Lomond goes, what we've done most recently is we've had 2 complete mowings, which is a lot better than we've been able to do in the past because of the steepness of the dam. So we've got 2 complete mowings. We've removed a lot of the woody vegetation from the dam that could also impact that rating. So in essence, over the last 2 years or so, things have improved pretty significantly there. Lake Ann is a little bit different. The dam was permitted in the late 60s. It was given a 50-year life as far as the permitting goes, which means that it's past due. The state regulatory agency has not been available to re-permit the dams, and they've kind of given us provisional permitting. It's not that we're delaying, it's that the regulatory agency has been delaying. But what happened with Lake Ann is that in 1980, there was a new set of standards written that would require the Lake Ann Dam to have a wider spillway. And that was, like I said, back in the 60s, it was okay the way it was. From 1980 forward, we were under new standards. So that will have to be addressed before we get our new permit, which will be coming in the next 3 years. We've got 3 years to make these fixes and get our permit updated. We are working with an engineering firm to help us along that road to get re-permitted. I've got a meeting with those folks next week, and let you know who they are. It's Mr. Lee Beschauer. He's an engineer with Olson and Associates. We're just going to have kind of a get-together meeting and plan out the scope what we're looking at, help them with any drawings that we might have and that kind of thing, and they'll put together an estimate for what it's going to take for us to do the 7 dams. So I wanted to get that out of the way first. I can answer, hopefully can answer some questions related to that later. Other than that, I believe we need to talk about the Lake Ann, potential Lake Ann drawdown for this fall. It would be a November 2nd to March 1st, 3 inches a day, 6 feet total. We would be resurfacing the courtesy dock at the boat ramp and cutting some more aggressive grooves into the ramp to prevent slipping. And beyond that, we'll get into the Lake Ranger reports. We had 4,000.
We're just,
Mhm.
the two issues are unrelated.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Okay. Meaning, you're talking about the spillway study and so forth, but also the lowering the lake has to do, we rotate through each year,
Yes.
we rotate a different lake.
Yeah.
So those are unrelated issues.
It's a normal drawdown for this year. The POA Ranger report for the month, we had 4,396 total contacts, 256 by boat, just shy of 80 hours on the water, 1,958 anglers, 1,930 other recreation, and 192 removed. Those anglers and recreation are the new numbers I've been asked to gather, and so far they've been running pretty even, with maybe recreation being slightly ahead. We are working with our point of sale system to make sales, credit card sales only. The Rangers are doing that. Our grounds maintenance guys have been really busy building new kayak racks and putting in new spaces for old kayak racks. We've added 52 new spaces this year. We have 30 more to come this year, and then which will give us 82 for the year. And I think at that point we will kind of pause a little bit to see if there's any more need. At some point we're going to have to balance need with kind of cluttering up the parks that we have. So we'll see how that plays out. With the kayak launch that we've been working with the Fly Tires on, I didn't understand that ordering that material was as long of a process as it is, but the framing for that is being galvanized right now by Insulbead. It's not as simple as just ordering and having it show up. They actually have to do the galvanization of that. That's being done now. We should get that back real soon and then get started on installing that. We are also hosting a dam safety workshop for Northwest Arkansas on September the 29th. It'll give pond and lake owners the opportunity to come out and go through the inspection process with the state officials so that they can have a good working understanding of how to fill out those inspection forms. At this point this morning we had all 3 summer ranger positions filled, but just prior to coming to this meeting I got word that one of our long-term rangers has transferred over to golf. So we'll still have one more to fill there. Our spring electrofishing sampling is complete. Our largemouth bass population study is also complete. Chris Fuller should be here next month to provide some updates on that and our spring electrofishing. He's currently on vacation. Our beach has been treated for algae before it opened, and so far our testing has shown that our E. coli levels are good, although it's been kind of hard getting those numbers from the state agency. I believe we're still looking for a Secchi volunteer for Lake Avalon. If you're interested, his office number is 855-4472. And Mike Callgrove, who is our avid bow fisherman, has taken 45 grass carp so far this spring, and he has won the April and May raffle. But and probably win June too, unless some other people step up. So we're happy that he's doing that for us. That's all I have.
Okay, questions for Rick on anything that he talked about? Go ahead, Steve.
Got a question, Rick. You had 192 removals. Tell me what happens during a removal, and do most people comply right away?
Most people do. They understand that they're not supposed to be here. Generally, the ranger will hang out until they pack their stuff up and move and leave. With some of our youth, they've gotten into the habit of just doing a circle around the block and coming right back. So our rangers also do the same. But usually by the second time they get the hint. In most other instances, people understand, and that they're trying to sneak by, but they leave when they're asked to. And if there's an escalation, that's the point where we contact the Bella Vista Police Department and we get them for trespassing.
Any other questions for Rick? I have one. So, any update on the grass carp funnel trap?
So far, we haven't caught any. We're going to get in there next week and see what we can do to augment the functionality of that, but we haven't gotten any with that. I did want one more thing I failed to mention. I don't know why, because I thought I wrote it down. We did locate. We've been looking for coontail to reestablish in the lakes. We haven't found that, but we have found another native, northern milfoil, and we're bringing that in to tanks, observe it in quarantine for a bit to make sure we don't have any hitchhikers sneaking in, and then we'll put that in the Arkansas cubes, and so they can get out in the lake and start seeding it. So that's positive.
So when is that going to go? When would that go into the lakes?
We want to keep them in quarantine for probably 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it'll go out.
Okay.
So, yeah, first part of July.
Any other comment for Rick? I've asked my question.
Rick, real quick, what was the government entity that did this grading evaluation on the dams? Was it Corps of Engineers?
No, it's not the Corps of Engineers. There's a dam safety office
Okay.
within Arkansas.
So it's a state.
The state is tasked with doing it. It's under federal guidelines.
Okay.
You know how they
Yeah,
the feds like to push things off on the state.
Enough said.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay, I would like to vote on the Lake Ann drawdown. We talked about this last time. Go ahead, Trey, you got something?
I just got 2 things.
Sure.
I just want to remind everybody, this is the last week to get your July 3rd parking pass for the lease stock holders. So if you want to come down, if you have a dock rented and you want to come down for the fireworks, you've got to contact the POA. Everybody got an email, 2 emails, I think, by now. So this is the last week. By the 15th, you got to do that. After that, you'll have to buy tickets to dinner if there's any left. I think there's some left, but they're usually, at some point there won't be. So heads up on that. And then speaking of Lake Point, last week we opened up the additional parking spaces in front of the marina, the courtesy docks. we went and dove and put all the braces back. So come on down for dinner.
Thanks. So we talked about drawing down Lake Ann last time, and I think we need to vote on that today, just to give Rick and team time to do all the preparations and communicate with the homeowners and what have you. So someone want to make a proposal to draw down Lake Ann in the fall of this year and allow it to come back up in the spring?
I'll make a motion, you draw down Lake Ann,
Okay,
the annual.
do I have a second? Carol, second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. So Lake Ann will be the official lake we draw down. So we have one opening on the committee, and I've spoken to several of you who know Kelly Austin, and I've talked to Kelly a couple of different times. So at this time, I'd like to nominate Kelly Austin to be the next replacement for, who is he replacing? He is replacing Rob Montgomery, who's going to roll off at the end of this month. So at this time, I'd like to nominate Kelly Austin to replace Rob Montgomery on the Lakes Committee.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. So I sent out another copy of the proposed budget expenditures for next year. And what I think we need to take a look at, these are due, so we have one more meeting before these are actually due. So I would like for you guys to, and women, to look at this thing and help prioritize what really needs to be done and what doesn't. One of the things, Rick, that I'd like to see done, it's gonna be a real cheap fix. So when you launch on Lake Ann, Lake Avalon, and Lake Norwood, when you launch your boat, the closest cleat is pretty far away.
Okay.
So if we could possibly put a tie-up cleat closer to where the ramp actually is, I mean, that's gonna be a cheap fix, it's just putting a cleat in.
I don't think we have to wait till the
Okay,
budget.
so I'm not gonna put that on the list, but it's something I thought about.
So let me get this right. Norwood,
I got Norwood, Ann, and Avalon. I don't think there's an issue on any of the others.
okay.
We talked about doing Lake Ann, boat ramp, so if we draw it down, we're gonna redo that ramp, right? So that'll be done next year.
We're gonna redo the courtesy dock there
Okay,
and cut the grooves.
cut the grooves on the ramp, okay. London Landing, the boat ramp, that road, it always seems to be full of potholes.
It does.
My question is, we talked briefly about it, the trout stocking at Lake Brittany, while that's a very good thing to do, you said the cost of trout have really,
They have gone up,
so,
but it's got a double benefit, however,
right,
in that it produces trophy bass.
okay. So I would think that, and I kind of reworded number one, maintain an annual budget for all the lakes with an intense focus on carp removal and native aquatic vegetation reestablishment. I think that should be priority number one. And we talked about just enforcing the rules is number two. Anybody else have any comments on the list that I sent out a couple of weeks ago?
I think number 10, improve signage,
Yes,
is,
and that's,
should be way up there as well.
okay, and I think that's a fairly low budget,
Low cost,
yeah.
Possibly changing the colors of the signage.
Well, what is currently there is like, no
Well,
parking
yeah, they're
signs.
small, but they
But,
blend in too.
As a retired park superintendent with the lake, we had, aesthetically pleasing. It can be made from fiberglass or anything in between, wood. But, natural colors like tan, gray, or green, something like that. But large enough where they cannot be easily ignored. But it can be done tastefully, but not like a parking sign or something on the interstate. Well,
So the POA members and guests only signs have kind of become standardized throughout the POA. They'll probably need to remain the same. They've got the green leaf on it, and we're replacing those as they kind of fade out. But Yeah,
But those are easily ignored.
Mhm.
They're not noticeable, and they don't need to be at the boat dock and that little tiny sign. They need to be at the entry places before people even get
they are.
on, no, they're not on Avalon.
Mhm.
They're not.
Okay.
Another thing I noticed it yesterday, we used to have signs, like if you go to the Lake Brittany boat ramp, there used to be a sign on Trafalgar that it was a wooden sign, it said, this is and I know where all the boat ramps are, because I've been
Yeah.
here 24 years, but some of the signs, is there a plan, is there a POA master plan to replace those signs? Because a lot of those are missing.
So the gray signs are a long drawn out saga. Those signs were put in 40+ years ago, and they were just, some of them were falling down on their own. We tried to replace a lot of them, but the new city ordinance has made it much more challenging. And in many cases, those signs were not on POA property. So we didn't even have the legal right to change them. They were okay as is, but if we wanted to make any changes, we didn't even have a legal right to do that. So we made the decision I don't know, last year or something like that, to just remove all of them because they were in such bad disrepair. We've talked about replacing some of those signs, but it's in order to follow the city standards, it became cost prohibitive. So right now, we're not looking to replace. And so many people are using GPS these days anyway, so I don't know how useful it is to have those signs in the first place.
Yeah, if the GPS directions work, then you probably don't need the signs. But I was just curious, because I know that they had not been up there lately, and
We went through and did a full audit on all those signs, and like I said, a lot of those signs were falling apart on their own, so.
okay.
Well, Mr. Tom, is it possible that we have a standardized larger sign for lake entry points rather than the small standardized no parking, please signage? Something of substance that's aesthetically pleasing.
Do you have your mic on? Just make sure your mic's on. Because the thing flashed. Yeah, we can definitely look into, at the entry points, you're talking about, restate what you just said. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I'm a blonde, please forgive me. I'll try again.
I was blonde before it just went away on its own.
Oh, well, mine's going away too, so my excuse is rapidly disappearing. But at lake entry points, let's say, for example, Avalon, the dam area, or the spillway area, and where people come in to the park and the boat launch area, the pavilion area, that when you start to make that turn, you see a sign of significance that says private property, POA members.
Okay, but we're talking about two different types of signs. You're talking about.
I'm going back to the other side.
No, I understand that, and he's talking about.
Yes.
You're at the Loch Lomond Dam, that kind of sign. So two different types of signs.
Right.
Or are you suggesting we combine them?
Well, I'm suggesting that the most important factor here is to make it clear that our lakes are private.
Right. So we have two different sign issues. Okay, one that's, if one, a lot of those old gray ones used to be by the road, that's really a no-go because they were not even on POA property. Or maybe it had been POA property 40 years ago when they were originally placed. Yours is a little bit different story, and we can definitely work with our marketing team to increase the size and change the color or something like that. But those are not, don't follow the same regulations, and those signs are relatively inexpensive. So two different types of signs.
Yes.
His request is a little bit more challenging. You're going to get a no. Your request is a lot more
His has
affordable.
to
We
do
can
with
do
the
it.
state, because it's state highways, I'm gonna assume.
In some cases, it is state highways, so that makes it more challenging. But
Our sign, our private property signs.
Your
that's POA
signs-
Land, let's do it.
as long as it's on POA property, it's much easier,
Yes.
and those are not as significant in structure of signs as what he's talking about.
Right.
So, so your request is definitely, we can accommodate that.
Thank you very much.
Don't we also have to be careful about what the signs say? The wayfinding signs can't really,
No, those are only for wayfinding signs that are on state numbered highways.
right,
They can only say the character size has to be so large, the font size has to be so large, it has to be special reflective material, all this, which is why those blue wayfinding signs, they cost about $8,000 to $10,000 to replace every time they get hit by motorists and so forth. The total hassle.
And they
Totally
can't-
different story.
and they can't be promotional to, isn't there like a hiccup there
Correct,
too?
but you're now talking about a third type of sign.
Okay.
But, so her
Enough of
request
the
is
signs.
very reasonable. We're good to go on that.
And again, mine was more of a question, not so much of,
You started this.
Yeah,
I
I
just
know.
want to point that out. You
Yeah,
started this.
I'll take the hit on that one. So any other questions about, so just as you think about the next meeting, just if you have anything to add to this list or anything that needs to be reprioritized other than what we've discussed today. And every time after the meetings, I kind of go back and tweak this thing a little bit and I try to send it out after that. So if you have anything else, let me know or bring it up in the next meeting or what have you.
One other thing. What we'll do is I'm going to have marketing do a mock-up and we'll bring it back to the committee, make sure you guys are happy. That way we're all, what I'd hate to do is put in a new sign and then you're still pissed at me. So.
Okay, before we go.
Thank you, Mr. Tom.
Before we move on, any other questions for Rick or capital campaign or anything we've talked about today? Okay. Members of the audience, anybody have anything they want to say? Yes. Please state your name so we know who you are and.
I'm Bonnie Martinek and I live on 33 Drive. And I'll just read my statement. I can't tell you how pleased my neighbors on Evanton Drive were when the no-wake buoys were placed on Loch Lomond up from Granton Landing after the water level came back up this spring. For years, we've had to deal with boaters racing down to the buoys, turning around and going back out, creating huge waves, crashing against the seawalls, and violently rocking the boats at the dock. Some boaters don't even adhere to the buoys and race past them going in either direction. I personally have had to have work done on my wall 3 or 4 times in the 20 years I've lived here. Now the buoys have been moved back twice toward the original position because the boaters can't take an extra minute to go a little bit further out to start revving their motors. So I want to know who's more important here, the homeowners that have to deal with the damage that's caused by the waves crashing or the impatient boaters. And I'd like the buoys moved back to where they started out this spring. I don't think it's too much to ask, and I hope they get enforced. Thank you.
So, first off, I need to apologize for the whole incident that this has become. When we put those buoys back, the intention was to put them back where they originally were in the past years. What I understand is they got put a little closer to the ramp this time, which is what benefited you. But we have since put them back to where they originally. No.
When they were put out this spring, they were put way out, further away from the landing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got moved again toward the landing, and then they got moved again toward the landing. They're still not back to where they were because right now they're right in front of my house. And they've always been here closer to the landing. And they were way out there at the start of the season, and we were thrilled. And it was about time. When we first moved here, there was one fella that kept moving this way, and then somebody would move him back. And we just get a lot of damage from the boat. And there's one fellow in particular who has a big white speedboat, and he comes racing down and makes a huge loop and, causes damage on either side. So
let me not speak out of turn because it was our intention to put them back where they were before. If they aren't where they originally were, we'll get them back there. But we were looking at satellite imagery
Yeah.
that shows where they were in previous years, and that's where we put them back to. So.
Next, anybody else?
This, if you don't mind, I'm gonna pass out something. I created a map as a visual to give you an idea of the area that we're talking about. My name is Wendy Wickersham, and I'm at 17 Evanton Drive. So this is not GPS derived, this is just to give you a visual of what we're referring to here. So what we are requesting is not that the buoys be placed where they were in prior years, but where they were at the start of the season this year. As the population of Bella Vista becomes younger, the boats are getting bigger and the boats are getting faster. And where these no-wake buoys are is where everyone comes really fast. They do a really, really hard turn, going really fast. Huge waves come up, over 6 feet tall. I have been mowing my grass. My grass is at least 6 feet from the seawall and have gotten soaking wet from waves coming over that far. We've had damage. We had to replace our seawall this year. It's $40,000 for a new seawall right now. That's a big expense that many of us were not really prepared to take on for a seawall that was only 10 to 12 years old. So when the buoys were placed right after the drawdown, they were placed in a position that made that big, fast turnaround out towards the lake area where it's much wider and could accommodate those big turns. The buoys, when they were placed there, we were all happy. The damage was obviously going to be decreased. Everything was good. What I was told was there were a handful of fishermen who complained that they didn't want to have to go that far to reach full speed, and so the buoys were moved back. I called Lake Patrol to express my concern about that, and I was told to bring my concerns here. And then I said, well, did the fishermen have to bring their concerns here? And I was told no, that they did not. So we also have a double standard on how we have to get things done, with the homeowners being the ones kind of not getting any priority, and I have an issue with that.
So let me jump in. So the buoy was placed incorrectly. So it was not based upon a complaint from a fisherman. So when it
That was what I was told by our Lake Patrol.
Okay. From what I know, the buoy was placed incorrectly. So there was no preferential treatment given to one, to fishermen over homeowners. So then the question is does the lake committee, where do you want to place the buoy? Because we've talked about buoy location in previous meetings, and we've had situations where we remove buoys and so forth. What Rick's trying to do is place the buoys back to where they were in previous years using satellite imagery. But if the new location, or the location that they would prefer, if that makes sense, we're open-minded to it if the committee is supportive of it.
So has the buoy truly moved? Like to the location that she's showing on?
So the buoy was originally put back. I've got a new guy in that department this year. The buoy was put back where he thought it belonged, and obviously it needs to be exactly where it was, or otherwise we get complaints on both sides. So I reiterated to him that it needed to go back where it was. It was moved once more, and then it was moved again in an attempt to get it back where it was. We were under the impression that it is now where it was, and based on satellite data, that's the conclusion that I came to. Now there's a whole separate issue about whether that's the right place for it to be going forward.
And that's why we're here.
And that's what we can now have an open discussion about that. Mm-hmm. Bigger boats, bigger waves. We went up and down the wake boat issue 3 or 4 years ago. So that's all something to bring to the table at this point. So I'm open to, we're probably not going to make everyone happy, but I'm open to making making common sense with this, so.
So the buoy with the yellow indicator where they were, you're saying incorrectly put the first time this season, that was the place that minimized damage to the homeowners' properties, was that location. I kayaked the difference between where they are now and where they were, and I am not an athlete, but I kayaked it in 90 seconds. So for a boat at no wake is probably gonna be 30 to 45 seconds. So we're not really asking, I don't feel like we're asking for anything unreasonable.
So I just wanted to, yeah. So I'm not discounting your request. I'm just saying.
Yes, I understand.
A mistake was made. It was placed in the wrong place. It doesn't, maybe inadvertently, it brought to light a benefit in having a new location. But it was not done on purpose, and it was not done to favor one group or another. It was just a mistake.
Okay.
We were happy with the mistake.
That's also a mistake. We thought it was, oh, I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of turn.
No, that's okay, because I live on Loch Lomond, and the buoy close to my house was moved also, and I went to Rick and said, hey, why'd the buoy move? And he was like, oh, we messed up that one too. So so I had similar questions even as a homeowner, so.
Thank you.
He was, unfortunately, the individual was consistent in their error.
Well, the individual who did it actually came over and talked to me because I was outside, and he said he was placing them there because he felt like that was going to minimize damage, and in his mind, that was the logical place to put them.
Yeah, what he was supposed to do was put them back exactly to what the satellite imagery was, and we've received a couple comments that are truly reasonable, and other ones were, hey, they missed it by a couple yards. I'm like, okay, a couple yards, you're gonna have to give us some grace on that, because that's a harder thing to accomplish. But so really the issue for the committee is do they like the new location, or prefer, I don't even know how to phrase it, the proposed new location.
The proposed new location would minimize damage to homes on Evanton Drive. Yeah.
So that's the question at hand.
Anybody have a comment? I have an opinion, and I'm gonna state my opinion. Whenever we move a buoy, I've been here 24 years. There's never been an instance where a buoy has been moved further out. Our lakes are not getting any bigger. Boaters have a limited area. On Loch Lomond and on Lake Windsor, approximately 30% or a third of the lake area is no wake as it is today. When you move a buoy, yeah, it might fix your problem, but then when that buoy moves out another 100 yards, the homeowners who are lined up with that particular area are going to experience increased waves, because guess what? Boats are going to turn around there instead of down here.
But it's a wider location there.
Granted, but we're trying to strike a balance between allowing boaters access and allowing them to do their thing, and at the same time keeping a balance. The intention was to draw down Loch Lomond. Unfortunately, some errant lake ranger did something they shouldn't have done and created a positive deal for you, not necessarily positive for everyone. So my opinion is they should remain where they are, because we never get any extra space back. It's always incrementalism. And over the years, the buoys have crept. They keep creeping further and further out. I've been here 24 years. I can tell you where buoys used to be in a lot of different places.
If you see the arms and legs of this critter-shaped lake that we have, all of those little arms and legs are no wake except for ours.
Well, I mean, you know, you can make that case for just about any other place on the lake. I mean, Tyree, you know, we had people in Tyree complaining about the buoy situation in Tyree. I mean, so if we move the buoy for you, then people from Tyree are going to come and say, well, we want to move our buoy too. And so you get into this never-ending discussion about where the buoy should be. And the fact of the matter is, a third of your lake or more is no wake as it is today. And I realize I hear your point, but when you bought your lot and you built your house, or you moved into your house there, it's a wake lake. It's a wake lake, and unfortunately, when you live on a wake lake, you have the consequences of wave action.
Well, with a lot bigger boats and a lot bigger boaters than we had when I moved in
Yeah,
several years ago,
and we
it's
could-
changed.
We could argue that weather, wind, when you get a 20-mile, 30-mile-an-hour north wind blowing for 3 days in a row, wind does more damage to shorelines, and I think it's been proven, than boat wakes do. Because we get winds in the north and we get winds in the south here that blow for 3-4 days at a time that you can't do anything about. So I've heard that argument too. So my opinion is the buoys ought to stay where they are. That's just my opinion.
I totally disagree.
Okay.
I don't agree with that part, but I disagree with you, Mr. Matt, about all of that. I think property owners should have some consideration, particularly whenever we have people who don't live here, who are on our lakes a lot, and a lot of this behavior may be caused by them. Lake Avalon is a no-wake lake also. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. They get out there and they zoom around. And if you own property on a lake, I think you should have some consideration about that. I really do.
I live on a lake. I understand.
Well, I don't know where you live on the lake. Maybe you're not affected, but these folks obviously are.
I believe standardization across our lakes should be standardization. And so if we're talking about a significant difference of, what would you say, 100 yards, 150 yards, something like that? Like, if it's truly moved from that to this, that should be open for discussion to go back to the way it was. This is a very narrow finger where your map is showing. That's not the best place to end a wake zone, in my eyes. However, I do agree with Matt that like we all come in knowing what we're purchasing, what we're buying, hear him out 100%, but like I don't think that we should be like hung up on the fact that like if it was this far away a while ago, then it should go back to that. However, is this true based on satellite imagery? Like that's kind of our proof that we're going off of. So if we're doing our best to get to that point and we get to that point, then it's kind of a mute discussion. That's my 2 cents.
What I can offer between now and the next meeting is I can take measurements of the width of the cove on each cove where where the no wake zone starts. At least we'll have that information to be able to base future decisions off of in the future.
Any other comments before we move on? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Susan Foshi, and I'm also on Evanton Drive, 19 Evanton Drive. And I just wanted to reiterate what Wendy did such a great job of showing you that it doesn't even look that way on the thing that she gave you, which is great, but we are pretty narrow. And like she said, when we moved here 15 years ago and we bought that property, probably I'm just guessing, the average motor was 40 horsepower. You know, it's fishermen on pontoons. It was pontoons everywhere. And now, a lot of people, they're a lot younger, they've bought much bigger boats, and they probably don't know the etiquette that they should use, and they will come down there and turn a real hard turn, and it just sloshes way over. And I'm like Wendy, just put out $40,000 on a new seawall. Probably needed to do it anyway over time, but you know, I don't want to see it damaged. And we essentially had part of our property seeping out from underneath our old seawall, which again was probably not up to today's standard, our old one. So over the years that I've been here, I've been mowing my yard, and it just got to the point where I wouldn't get on the mower anymore because it felt like my riding mower was going to fall into the lake because so much of our yard had been sloshed against and, you know, gone out into the lake. I don't know enough about physics I just taught 6th grade science, not any higher than that, but I don't know if the depth has anything to do with the force of the waves or not, but it's very shallow on our side. All of my neighbors live on that side, so it's pretty shallow. So I don't know if that accentuates the power of the wave or not, but I feel like we could be reasonable And yes, I think everybody's clear now. We liked where they were put inadvertently. I mean, we can argue all day long that the employee put them in the wrong place. That's fine, you know, we understand that. But we feel like where they were put the first time after the drawdown is best for all of our property, because we are on a pretty narrow, like I say, it's actually more narrow than what it appears there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
On this red stripe here on your, how many properties does that represent?
7, 8.
I'm at 33, and she's at 17, 8 to 9. So.
Okay. And are you guys aware if there's any issues on the other side of the?
The other side is a very steep slope, so there aren't yards there. There are several people that did new seawalls there this year as well, but theirs is more of a rocky slope, where ours is much more flat. And we're on the shallow side. Yeah, it's deeper over there. It's very shallow where we are. When I'm kayaking along our properties, I can take my paddle and touch the bottom with it. So 3, 4, maybe 6 feet at most through that whole area. It's very shallow. So when those waves come, there's not really anything to absorb it. They really just come flying.
All right, thank you.
Rick, are the videos still up from the when we discussed wake boats? Your team did several experiments on the.
I don't know if they're on the website anymore or not.
Are they?
One thing I noticed, every other cove on Lomond has a buoy right at the entrance to the cove, except this one. And it appears that it is a wider cove than the others on here, but it's still a cove. You know, I don't know the moving a buoy is gonna be that much of a difference myself, but what everybody else would do, would think.
Has everybody in the audience had a chance to speak, who wanted to speak?
My name is Lori Obranovich, and I'm on 21 Evanton Drive, and I just want to reiterate everything that they have said. We can't afford a $40,000 seawall, so we are just dealing with the wood and our boat banging against our pier, and the large boats that really belong on Beaver Lake, they're just getting bigger and bigger, and the damage is substantial, and it just is a continuation of buying more rock, buying more boards, and maybe someday I can afford a boathouse that'll lift our boat up, but right now our new boat is just crap. You can't even sit on the pontoon boat and enjoy it because of the waves, and when they turn, then you're getting the compound waves, and it's really become an issue. So it was so wonderful. We were so happy when the buoys were at the front, and if you could just re-look at that, we would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Points of view?
Thanks for your comments.
Appreciate the comments.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, the only comment I would have is if we did move that buoy back to where it was put in error, would it focus more damage on other homeowners? Would we just move the problem?
I think it would. I mean, you're just changing the problem from one area to, you're backing the issue up a little bit. You're in all likelihood gonna make those homeowners where the new buoy is, because nobody wants the buoy where their property line is, and so as you move it back, I mean, we've had issues on other lakes in that same regard, even though the cove's wider. Very quickly.
I actually really did observe that, because I was very curious, because the buoys were right in front of my house, and I was worried that they were actually going to make it worse for me.
Yeah.
So I did pay a lot of attention to that. it's deeper there. And that really makes a huge difference. The water is very deep, and also there's like a little small cove, you can kind of see that dips down there.
Yep.
And that actually helped absorb some of that as well. So I know the people that live right across from me, I've watched their property, I did not see any change to theirs at all.
All right. Going around once more time.
I just want to weigh in really quickly. I may be out of line. Thank you guys for coming in. I don't feel like we have enough information based on what I'm listening to make a factual decision. I think that what Rick suggested was excellent. Let Rick go back, measure, study, look at other coves. Are we consistent with our guidelines on wakes and everything else? What do the distances and the depths? And bring back some factual information so people can weigh in a little bit better. So I think everyone hears you. I just wanted to share my viewpoint.
Okay.
I totally agree with Deborah. We almost had the same thought. So,
Okay.
yes, a little bit more information, Mr. Rick, if you could look maybe at depth on the other side and just kind of what we did with wakeboard stuff.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we wrap it up? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.